If you're not using AI to get more efficient at work, what are you even doing? A new study by the Harvard Business School that came out this fall of 2023 actually revealed what happens whenever you add generative AI, GPT-4, to a highly skilled worker. And unlike what Twitter thinks, where you'll hear a lot of snobby writers saying, don't use AI at all, it degrades your skills, the Harvard Business School found that generative AI can improve a highly skilled worker's performance by more than 40%. And they directly compared two groups of very skilled people, giving one group GPT-4. I don't know about you, but if you can improve your performance by almost 50%, and you're already pretty smart, skilled, and good at what you do, why wouldn't you? The future of work is going to be AI. It's going to affect everything, and it's going to reshape our businesses, but only if we adapt and if we get ahead right now. One of the best things I do in my work, which is all AI, yes, I am all in on this new frontier, is I help business owners figure out how to adapt their entire business structure for more profitability by adapting to AI. And that's why I want to share with you something that I drew out and shared to a group of 500 SEO pros. I'll give them a shout out to Ryan Stewart, the Blueprint Training, a bunch of incredibly smart people with 20, 30 years of experience doing what they do. As I've met with them over this year, I found that there were quite a few bottlenecks. Quite a few additional people, quite honestly, they didn't need to have. And steps in the process they could completely erase with AI. As I got to know these people, consulted them, stepped into many of the actual processes they were doing and helped reshape their processes, this came to life, what I'm about to share with you now. The old way of doing content, running a content team versus the new way of doing content. And I'll tell you, AI is not just gonna touch writing, it's going to touch online work as we know it. There was a YouTuber that studied a group of game developers and if these people could be replaced with AI. And he found that the COO, normally paid a very high six-figure salary, could be replaced completely with an almost autonomous AI that only cost 8 cents per action. Can you imagine having a computer in your business that can perform better than a human and cost infinitely less? Wrap your mind around that. I'll tell you, it's a whole new world, a whole new way of thinking. And if you heard me before at all, if you've seen any of my work at Content Hacker, you know that one of my favorite things to do is actually build a sustainable business. It's something I got good at after failing for about 4 years in my first business back in 2012 and suffering through a 19% profit margin. That wasn't fun to take home less than 20% of what you earned. So learned my lesson the hard way. And then I got really good at studying the science of profit margin and business profitability. And for 4 years straight, we had an almost 60% profit margin on a business that had 100 humans. We did the unthinkable, but I'll tell you, if I was to structure a business again, which I am at Content Hacker, we're running a community, a course, and an educational destination, plus a live event, I'm going to hand off as much as I can to AI. And I'm going to look for smart solutions. And yes, invest in AI, almost like I would a human, because it can augment the work of one great human. What did Harvard Business School find? By almost 50% on average. So don't listen to the tweets. AI doesn't make you lazy, stupid, or slow. It actually makes you infinitely faster. And if you don't adapt, you're going to get left behind. That's the truth of the matter. So without further ado, let's get into it. I want to take you over to my desk and share with you the old way versus the new way of running a content team. All right, folks. So I want to share with you the old versus the new way of doing content. And honestly, it can apply to your team beyond just content. But I want to start here because the content team is arguably one of the hardest teams to get right. I ran a writing agency, had 100 people. And I'll tell you, this is a bear. Hiring writers feels like herding cats. So I've studied the process of many SEO, content, and marketing agencies as a whole. And this is a very typical process that you see. And this process includes, we've counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, potentially another 5 people. That's 10, 11, 12 people throughout the process. Now, what I'm going to share with you is the new way of doing content, which brings you down. This entire process can be brought down to 1 or 2 people, which is absolutely incredible. You could actually bring this all down to one person, and I'll share with you how. So first of all, the old way of doing content, let's talk through that a little bit. This requires multiple steps, multiple platforms, multiple tools, and multiple people. And what we want to do is streamline down to one tool that has AI underneath it that can power up everything, remove all kinds of human work. I mean, get ready, this is mind-blowing stuff. Not only steps, but the work involved, AI can fully remove, because that is how evolved AI is. And the platform that can do all of this and remove all of the steps is Content at Scale. It's the one that actually saves time and is built to be robust. So that's why I recommend it. I don't just recommend it because it's cool and it's trending. I recommend it because it does save time, cost, and head hunting and managing and hiring. So the old process, an SEO person was usually at the forefront, right? Going and finding low-hanging fruit, doing a Google search audit. A lot of this was manual work, or you used Screaming Frog and SEMrush and Ahrefs. You used a bunch of tools here. And then you would go from there to a Google spreadsheet in Excel. You would download, you would export, you would clean up. You would send it to the client, and you would involve the writer at the content brief stage. So think about that. That's a lot of steps and a lot of people. And at that point, you're going back and forth with the client typically, which creates another kind of obstacle, but that's the typical process, which is the broken process. And then finally, once you have your briefs and all the topics outlined and researched, then you can go into content creation, which is where you're in this cesspool situation of trying to find the right writer. And let's say one goes missing, or one says, sorry, can't do that. Turns out something came up. I had a writer that told me her pet ferret died and she needed 2 weeks off. I mean, I get it, mourn your loss, but 2 weeks off, there's deadlines, there's work that has to be done. Crazy stuff can happen when you're trying to find writers. So once you finally find a writer, then you got to go through editorial. That's usually another person that's trained on a different skill set. And then finally it can get published. And an admin and an SEO is typically involved here. So this can cost, if you have one client and you have one writer, that costs hundreds, and then you have an SEO person and an admin, your profit margin likelihood here is very difficult to even get profitable, because you have so much, unless you're charging thousands per package level at like 1 or 2 blogs, which is crazy. Nobody's going to pay that, right? Because we know AI exists. So that's why this is completely broken. This is completely archaic. And if you're doing it, get rid of this process, get off this process, and go into the new way of doing content, which is the supercharged AIO approach, where AI is your baseline and the human is simply optimizing. So you can remove all the tools you typically use. I no longer use Keyword Finder. I no longer use Ahrefs in the content creation process. I still use some of those tools for background research. They're great. But I use Content at Scale for all the keyword and topic analysis. I use it for the content briefs, and we even use it when we have clients to review our content. At the white label level, you can access a version of our platform that you can basically sell to a client. So if you go up to, I'm a larger team, or I'll start with 3, whatever suits you, and then pick SEO optimized content on our pricing page, you'll want the content production bundle, and that will give you access to our premium posts. And once you're in that, you can go inside your billing section and upgrade and get agency options. So keep that in mind. You want the SEO optimized content whenever you upgrade, or whenever you pick a pricing plan here. And then from here, once you're in our software, you can choose to upgrade further into an agency plan. You can also go up here and sort by business or clients, and go straight into the agency plan if you're ready for that. And this is where you actually get that white label. It starts here at the standard level, the white label platform, where I can go make this URL on my own, put my name brand here, and then run the whole process in Content at Scale. So in the Content Intelligence Suite, I can start here, first of all, with keyword research. I can create clusters, topics, keywords. I can go from keyword research to a topic report. In the topic report, I get very, very detailed data. This is the kind of data that very expensive tools would typically provide, or we would have a human going through and getting all of this data. So this is a topic report in Content at Scale. You can see some really in-depth data here. Average word count. This is based on an analysis of top 38 results. Can you imagine sharing this with a client? Like, this is proof. and you could share it straight from the platform if you have that white label level. So you can run your whole business with this single platform and a single person. And what we actually had somebody do at Content at Scale, shout out to Troy Erickson, was he had one person doing everything. And he didn't even have an AIO writer. He literally had his SEO person doing all of these steps. And no, he wasn't breaking their back because Content at Scale writes great content from the get-go, and it can be trained on your specific style, tone of voice. Most of all, it writes original, undetectable content, which you need. You need to have that if you're publishing content on Google and you want to get to the top. You're not going to get to the top if you're publishing duplicate content if it's not original. But you still want somebody to go through this, right? Read it and make sure it's good. And that's where the AIO or an SEO person comes into play. So if you have an agency, I would definitely get both people. I would have an SEO person running this process and then an AIO writer running this process. And if you'd like to learn all about how to find a good AIO writer, go to contentatscale.ai/SOP, and that is my AIO Writers Kit, where you can learn everything we recommend, including a job listing you can swipe on how to find a great AIO writer. So all things you need to go find that person are right in here, which is amazing. This person can be trained to run this whole process where they generate the post, they edit that post, they go through it, make sure it's good, ready to go, and then they publish. And because Content at Scale integrates directly with your website, you can publish straight to your website from that platform. But this is a really brief look. We'll be doing more in-depth classes on this in the Content Hacker community. So if you're not in that, please come join me at contenthacker.com/community. I'd love to see you here. We teach in-depth classes inside this community. It's me leading the classes at least once a month. Sometimes we're doing more, sometimes it's our team, sometimes it's an outside expert. But this is a topic I'll be teaching a lot about because I believe you can get to a 70+% profitability whenever you compare the cost, which goes from hundreds per blog down to $20, $30, $40, $50. And that's with Content at Scale software plus an AIO writer together. Because an AIO writer can be anywhere from $7 to $15 an hour, and you're just going to pay them for 2 hours of their time per piece of content. That is the new way to pay for content. AI is the baseline, and all the writer does is optimize. So for more on this, definitely go to contenthacker.com/community. I'd love to see you in there, answer your questions on this, but I'm thrilled to share this concept with you so we can get to an incredible level of profitability in our businesses. I'll see you around on our channel. Julie McCoy here, the president of Content at Scale. See you around.